friends, welcome to my channel, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. My name is Olivia. Today is Friday, September 9th, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you have all been well, and you've been stitching and making and creating all of the things. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast where I talk about my cross-stitching as well as my quilting. However, if quilting is not something that you're interested in seeing or hearing, I show it a little bit later on in the video, and I let you know in plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. How have you guys all been? Hope you've had a great 2 weeks since we last sat down to chat. The past 2 weeks for me ended up being kind of busy. We had all the back to school stuff for Ethan to do, and then we made a trip over to the beach, and we went to the state fair, and I had to take my grandma to her first retina. It's a retina specialist, and she's begun treatments for macular degeneration, and so I'm hoping that by the time all of her treatments are done, she'll be able to see fantastic out of her eye again. But it ended up, there was a lot that took me away from the house, so I feel like I didn't quite get as much accomplished as I wanted to, mainly quilting, just because a lot of the stuff took me away from my sewing machine. But now that we're coming back into, like the autumn time of the year, I feel like I usually get, I have more time, especially on the weekends where there's not really anything going on and I can sit down and sew or stitch. So I hope for those of you that stick around for the quilting portion, you won't be too disappointed. But I still have all of the summer decor out, patriotic. A lot of it got put away, but I still kept out some of it. I have decided that August and September, I think I will decorate with crows and sunflowers. So I've kind of been, scouring the internet for ideas and inspiration, and then even I was able to locate a few freebie cross stitches that I'm hoping I'll be able to do over the next year. But I like that theme and that style, so I think that is what I will be doing. And of course it'll be like, the primitive rusty crusty that I like. I do want to say thank you to everybody who watched my previous video, for all of the great comments that you left me, the great suggestions that you left me on my Halloween piece that has been hanging out in the box of finishes for a long time. I think the main suggestion was to turn it into some sort of a clock piece similar to what Kim Goldman does, and I might. It's larger, so it would need a larger clock. And if I can maybe find something, I might do that. Or I also was thinking of maybe a pillow for the couch. So we'll see. But yes, I definitely agree that I do need to take some time to completely finish it. So I think in today's video, I'm going to jump in. We have a weather event. It's like a high wind advisory, but the conditions are similar to the fires we had back in 2020, where we got this east wind that just kind of came up out of nowhere and it fanned. There was a forest fire at Mount Jefferson. And so this high wind, came up and it fanned the flames of that forest fire. And then down the Santiam Canyon, trees started falling and snapping power lines. And it ended up being for several weeks that just our world around here just completely closed. We were, we had smoke, like really thick smoke, and it was absolutely awful. If those of you who, followed me back in 2020 on Instagram or here on Facebook, you probably remember those orange, red, angry pictures of the sky, or what, I guess we didn't even see the sky because we were just socked in with smoke. But those same conditions are happening today and into tomorrow. So we are, we've been told that there's a possibility we will lose power, that if trees start falling down, they're gonna cut power off. We'll get like a 4-hour warning, and then that's it, unless a tree falls and just takes out power, and then no warning. but I wanted to do my video earlier for two different reasons. One, for that, so that way maybe my video would have a chance to get, finished recording, upload, edited, and on YouTube before that happens. The second reason is because last time I filmed like late in the afternoon. By the time all the pieces of my video uploaded and I could edit them and then get it onto YouTube, I was waiting until 1:30 in the morning for that video to be officially on YouTube. I didn't want to go to bed and not know, is it on there? What's happening with it? So I stayed up with it, and then at 1:30 it finally uploaded and I could sleep. So I definitely want to avoid that from happening again. So it is about 11 o'clock here in the morning. This is the earliest I've filmed a video in a long time, but since Ethan's back in school, it's sort of back in that same schedule that I used to have. So it's really nice. Anyway, so that is why I'm going to go ahead and jump in and start talking about what I've been working on over these past 2 weeks. Before I do, I have some questions that were asked from my last video. The first question is, do I stitch in hand or with a hoop? So I do not stitch in hand. I do stitch with a hoop, like for smaller projects I will. I also have a Q-snap or a scroll frame, and probably the Q-snap and the scroll frame are the ones that I use the most. And whenever I can afford to, I plan to buy some larger scroll frames because I really like working with scroll frames a lot more than I do Q-snaps. But for the time being, I use kind of all three. The next question is, do I use magnification on a higher count of fabric? And I do not. I do have a magnifier. I believe it is a daylight magnifier, and I should have thought to bring it. If I think about it, I will show it next time. I got it off of Amazon. Maybe I'll just insert a picture of what it looks like, but I purchased it from Amazon. The last time I used it was when I was working on my Anniversaries of the Heart, so it's been a couple of years. And that was when I did a lot of over one stitching on that one. And I remember before I got my new glass prescription, I was struggling a lot. So now that I've got new glasses, I don't use it as much. But when I did use it, I really liked my daylight magnifier. It clipped right to my scroll frame or my Q-snap, and it had a light on it. I also have an overhead light too, so I didn't really need the light on it, but it does have one. It is battery operated, and I know that at some point I probably will utilize it again, but I do not. Luckily, with my prescription and just with really good lighting, I can see to stitch. The next question is, how many projects do I have in my rotation, and how many days do I work on each one? Do I mix small and larger pieces? So for the first part of the question, right now, currently, I have 2 projects in my rotation. I was able to finish one, and then I started a brand new one. I think what I will probably do is I've been thinking about this a lot. How many projects do I want in my rotation? And I think 3 will be the magic number, possibly 4. I do mix large and small projects. Right now, I don't really want to start anything huge because in October, I will be starting a giant sampler with Yvette. So I'm trying to keep everything small, finish up like Autumn Hawk Run Hollow. And then the one that I did start, keep it where I know it's going to be very doable to get it finished before then. And then I will have a large sampler. I'm thinking maybe a medium size something, and then a small. So we'll see how that works, but I kind of do want to keep 3 in there at any one time. That seems to work really well for me, but I can do 4 as well. I don't want to go any more because that just kind of defeats the purpose of, getting stuff finished. Next question is, before I forget, I work on everything for 5 days, if I forgot to mention that. So everything in my rotation, I work on it for 5 days. And I keep track of it all in my book of days. Next question is, what am I going to do when I no longer have a mocking basket of whips? And this is a very good question. I've been thinking about this. So the mocking basket of whips is a basket that I keep in my bedroom. It has all of the projects that I am currently working on, as well as my outstanding projects. I have 3 outstanding whips in the mocking basket of whips. It is, or they are, Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain by Kathy Barrick. Second one is Coming to America, Women of the Mayflower by Brenda Gervais. And the third one is Celtic Autumn. So when I have stitched all 3 of those, I am going to paint the basket. Right now it's white. I am going to paint it. It's still going to stay in my bedroom, but it will hold my current projects. However, I do have the bin of kitted projects, and it's about this big. And it is chocked full of all of the stuff that I went crazy and kitted up back in 2020. Little by little, I'm making smallish progress on everything. Once I get my whips done, of course, I will, that's where I will work from. So I still will have the bin of kitted projects, and it's just as mocking as the mocking basket of whips. I did find a new floss tuber over the past 2 weeks. Her name is Grace, and she is the Paisley Stitcher here on YouTube / Flosstube, and I will put a link to the Paisley Stitcher down below. I discovered her on her second video. She has 2 out, so I need to go back and watch her first one, but I did really enjoy the time that I spent with her, so definitely go and check her out. Quilting questions, I do have one to answer, and I will answer that in the quilting segment of the video. Okay, so all right, so let's talk about what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks. Because Ethan went back to school, I was able to resurrect my morning stitch. If you've been with me for any length of time, I, during the school year, will have a morning stitch that I will work on basically when Brian goes to take Ethan to school. It kind of gives me like an uninterrupted half an hour where I can just kind of sit down, stitch, watch some Flosstube, and get ready to start the day. I had intended on, continuing the morning stitch through summer, but I will be quite honest, it did not happen. I kind of pushed it aside in favor of taking Freddie on his morning walk. So because Ethan went back to school, sort of began that sort of structured day, I was able not only to start my morning stitch, but also to still take Freddie on his morning walk. This particular project went with me to Victoria, BC. I was supposed to work on it while I was gone, but I got sick and was not able, I didn't really have the brain capacity to work on it, so I basically hauled it up there and hauled it back home. It comes out of the Ooh La La book by Blackbird Designs, and it is called A Little Bit French Pin Roll. And I thought it would just be something really cool to stitch and make for the trench bowl, because right now seasonal smalls are going to be in there, but when January starts, it'll be nice to kind of have something new to put into the trench bowl. I only worked on it one day. This morning I was getting ready for my video, and so this is how far I got. So I'm looking forward to getting back to it. I am stitching it on a piece of 36 count, picture this, plus Heritage, and I believe the floss that I am using is Weeks Dye Works Baked Apple. And I really love it, really, really love it. So it's something fun to work on, and that is something that I do stitch in a hoop. I have a vintage hoop that I use, that I love using, and so I really enjoy working on those smaller projects in it in the morning. I did start a new project last night. I finished the Thankful, Grateful, Blessed that I was working on, so that just left Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow in the rotation. I have some projects that I'm going to be working on over the fall and into the Christmas season, but this was one that I really, really want to get done. It's one that I see on, a lot of cross stitchers are starting to put out their autumn Halloween decor, and I see it all the time, and I love it, and I've wanted to stitch it for a really long time, and that is Midnight Watch by Blackbird Designs. So I started this one last night. I don't have a huge start on it. I did start in the lower left-hand corner, which is something I never do, but I thought about, I usually start in the upper left and work my way across and then go down, and so I work left to right. But I'm trying to get my brain to started it, another way, try to, keep my brain on its toes. So I started it down here, and then I'm going to work my way across. Again, I didn't get a tremendous start on it. So there is the start of the bottom border. I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count Patriots Brew by R&R, and I'm stitching it 1/2 with various overdyed flosses. Some of the called for flosses I had in my stash, and then some I substituted. So I might be changing a lot of them out as we go. But I cannot wait to get this one done. I will just keep the 2 things in my evening rotation because I do want to get this one done before Halloween. I want to get Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow done before Halloween. And then because I also have an autumn stitch that I'm going to start as soon as Midnight Watch is done. So I definitely have some plans. I don't want to overload myself, but I definitely have some stuff that I'm going to be stitching that I'm really excited about. All right, and then last is Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. So in my last video, I was working on the Tom Turkey block. I did finish him, and I started on the final block. I got all of the borders stitched and then a line of grass. And here is the Tom Turkey block. So I went ahead and I changed 2 of the autumn corn to reflect ones that you would find here around here. I did one in a sort of burgundy color, and the other one I did in sort of a rusty orange. I did want to do one that was sort of a wheat color, like a orangey, it's not quite a mustard color, it's more like a really light tan, but I was afraid that it would blend in. So I kept 2 of them as charted, and then I changed 2. I also did add a pumpkin, and I really, really love this block so very much. During the month of November, I decorate with turkeys, and I still decorate with pumpkins, but I really enjoyed working on this particular block. So I had one more day with it in my rotation, and I was able to get the border of the next block done, and then I don't even know if you can see it, but there's a green line where the grass will be. So I'm looking forward to getting back to it. Because there are only 2 projects in my rotation, I'm going to work on Midnight Watch for 4 more days and then swap to this one. And it could be that I might just decide to continue working on this until it's done. I haven't quite decided. It would mean in my next video I definitely wouldn't have a lot of progress to talk about. But if I play my cards right, I should have some finishes finished. So here is what it looks like. I'm stitching Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow on a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha with DMC Threads 1/2. So some of it, the vast majority of it is the called for DMCs, but I did go in and substitute as I changed things around. So I love it. I think it looks great. I know I was going to talk about some of the color changes that I made. I forgot to bring that piece of paper in with me, so I will put that information down below, and I will make a note in my next video to let you know what those color changes were. In my newest block, I've changed nothing. It's all of the called for DMC so far. So yes, really looking forward to getting to that one. I cannot wait to have it finished. It is so very, very close. One question that I have been asked on it is, could it be stitched on a piece of Aida? And yes, it could. There's no over one. So you can most definitely stitch it with Aida. And even if there was over one, you could probably manipulate some of the motifs that, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But on this particular project, there is no over one. Next up, I did have a finish, and that is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And I am so very happy that I have this one done. It was supposed to be framed. I went to the Goodwill and I had bought a couple of frames, and I've learned a lot about frames. I've learned that sometimes they look like wood and they're not. And the frame that I had picked out for this one, it was perfect for it. And Brian went and he cut it, and I went to go put it together, and I don't know what it was made out of. It definitely was plastic, but whatever it was made out of, it was resistant to any sort of glue. And so he made, I mean, it was a perfect cut. But when you went to go put it together, there was an opening in the back. So even if I had managed to find glue that would work, it was only meeting like right here. And then you had all this down here that was open. So no matter what we did, it just would not work. He turned the thing different ways to see if maybe that was the issue. Something was wrong with it. I don't know. So this one did not get its frame. I am going to go up to the Goodwill again and see if I can find something that is a wood frame for it. But here it is. So I stitched this one on a piece of 36 count Legacy with various threads. Some of the called for and some of the not called for. 1/2. And the two that I substituted out there are 2 silks that are called for. One of the silks is what the pumpkin is, and I substituted Picket Fence by Gentle Arts. And then the roof was the other, where the other silk was going to be used, and I substituted DMC 08. So I really love how it turned out. I know that the lettering is super faded, but in person you can see it. And I am hoping that whatever frame I find will really help that stand out. However, if it doesn't, that's okay, because I spent a lot of time looking at other people's finishes, and sometimes you just can't see those lettering. The lettering is what the called for is. So, but I'm okay with that. Again, I'm hoping that once the framing is in, it'll kind of help that pop out. But in person, you can see it in person. For whatever reason, I can take a picture of it and you can see it, but in the video, it's very faded. I don't know. So I am so happy to have that done. I cannot wait to get it up on my wall. I'm going to mosey over to the Goodwill and see if I can find a frame for it. I know last time I talked about I was going to purchase frame molding for Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow, and I went to Home Depot, which is where I had previously purchased like the framing for Anne Priest. And I put it in my shopping cart and I went to go check out, and my $16 piece of picture frame molding was going to cost me $55 to ship it here. And I said, no way, that is ridiculous. Ridiculous. So I will keep looking at the Goodwill and see if I can find a frame. I just need to get like a large frame that I can cut down. I do know what size now to look for, so I'm hopeful that I can find something. It would be nice to find something before I get it finished, because I know I'm going to want to fully finish it immediately. So hopefully in my next video, I will have thankful, grateful, thankful, blessed, fully finished. That is the plan tentatively. I also have the frame for American Farmhouse. The frame is not painted yet. It's together. I just didn't get a chance to go out and paint it. But hopefully I should for sure have that one to show in my next video. I did have another finish that I cannot show. I am participating in a Halloween swap. So I stitched a Halloween piece, and I don't know if the person I stitched it for watches my video, but she's the one running the swap. So she definitely knows that I'm her swap partner. So I do not want to give any sort of a hint of what it is. And so when she receives that, I will share a picture of it. It won't be until October that I do. And then I do plan on making one for myself. And it's a drum. So I did have a refinish of an old finish. This one I kind of briefly mentioned in my last video. I don't think I showed it. The frame was done. Everything about the frame was done. The piece that I finished was laced, and in the frame I just didn't have any backing for it. So I was able to get the backing and completely finish it. And here it is. So this is Lantern Lane by Little House Needleworks. I started this one around my 40th birthday. And when I was working on it, and I was working on the house, I swore I was never going to stitch another house for the rest of my life, because that house took me forever. Clearly, I didn't listen. because now I feel like everything I stitch has a big giant house in it and I love it. So I started working on this in November 2017. I don't know why. I think I might have left 2017 in it because I had started it on my 40th birthday. We went over to Astoria for my birthday, and that is where I started this piece. I did stitch it on a piece of 28 count even weave, and I used a DMC threads. Two of the threads are the DMC variegated threads, the tree and house. I don't remember which ones they are, but there's not that many in the variegated line. So it basically was the sort of Christmas red and then the what I consider like a Christmas green. Oh, also the fence was a DMC variegated. So it was the brown, sort of like the brown and tan. So this one, I did have it in a frame. It was in a black frame, and the frame was too big for it. So down here, I had a piece of black and white gingham that was sort of across the front of it, just to kind of fill in the negative space that I left behind when I decided not to stitch this border down here. And it was an okay finish, but I knew at some point I wanted to get a frame for it. And then when I started refinishing or making my own frames, I knew that this was one that needed to be reframed immediately. So last Christmas, when all my Christmas stuff came out, I pulled this one out and I took it apart. So it was glued to a piece of sticky board, so I did have that to work with. I didn't leave myself very much margins on the top and bottom, so I had to sew a piece of linen onto it so that way I could lace it. I did stitch it 2 over 2, and up here in the alphabet, my initials I stitched in red. So I'm very excited to have this one out. Originally, this was not the frame that was supposed to go with it. That frame, it didn't work out. But I found this one at the Goodwill, and I just liked it. It has like acorns, and I guess you could probably say that it's more of like a fall theme, but I feel like even in the winter you have, acorns and things like that. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I love it, and I'm really glad that I will have it out this Christmas and into the winter, because some of the pieces that I stitch, I try to make sure that if it's not like Christmassy, I like to leave it out into the winter as well. So this is one piece that will hang up during the winter. So I'm very happy to have it done. All right, so before I announce the giveaway winners from the previous video, I did receive a package from the Fat Quarter Shop, and the reason why I'm going to show it now is because some of these items will be in today's giveaway. And all these items are available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website. The first item is the 2023 planner by Lori Holt, Be In My Bonnet. It comes in this cute little pink box. It's nice and hard, so you definitely could use this to store other items in. But here's the planner. So it is pink this year. I believe last year's was a teal or a blue color. It's got her trademark B on the front. The planners are all hardback. It's got kind of a canvas cover. It is organized by month, and you get a larger monthly calendar, and it also goes by week as well. So you definitely could use this to organize not only your stitching or your quilting, but your whole life too. Also sent me some Flying Geese quilt block foundation paper, and I have used these for there was a quilt project, not these particular ones, but I've used some of their other ones in a quilt that I made, I think it was the year before last, and they're really easy to use. Definitely. I mean, even if you're a beginner, they're very beginner friendly. A 5-inch square and a square, and a 6-inch square and a square. They also sent me, I think it's Marseille, and I'm probably I'm probably mispronouncing that. It is a quilt and designed by Crystal Stahl of It's So Emma. Such a beautiful quilt. And a cross stitch pattern called Santa Claus Typeface series. So very, very cute. So thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending those items my way. And I will put a link to the Fat Quarter Shop's website down below. So in my last video, I did have a giveaway, and thank you so very much to everybody who played along. I really love reading all of your guys' comments. The question was, what is your state tree? And Oregon's is the Douglas fir, which I was pretty positive it was. I remember learning about it when I was in elementary school. I think I remember going to the zoo and they had one there, and I remember like bits and pieces, and I just kind of can remember going to the zoo and there was a Douglas fir there. And I remember we had just learned about the Douglas fir and there was like a song and everything. And so I was pretty positive that's what it was. But, you know, over time things can change or you can hear things wrong. But I was glad I was right. I enjoy reading everyone else's state trees. And if you didn't have a state tree, just kind of let me know of a really cool one in your area or even your national tree. So thank you so much. I'm so happy that you guys play along. If I call your name, what you will need to do is contact me via email, and I will put my contact information down below. Send me your address and I will get your prizes out in the mail to you much quicker than I did last time's video. So number 1 was for the Hip Hop Chockful, and the winner is Anne Craft All the Things. So this is your prize. Number 2 is for the Bloom Chockful, and the winner is it Sandra Soder? Candra is your first name. I'll scroll it, and I apologize if I butchered your name. Number 3 is for Liberty's Welcome, and the winner is Cindy Flinchbaugh. Number 4 is for the Farmhouse Christmas, and the winner is Heidi I know she won one other time and I butchered her name. Heidi it's Lehnig. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at this. Number 5 was Up on the Rooftop, and the winner is Mary Jo Sanchez. So congratulations to all the winners. I am so sorry I butchered your names if I did. I actually, when I pulled your giveaway names, I said your names out loud and they all sounded great. And then I sit down and do these videos and just like, it just whoop right out my brain. So anyway, contact me, let me know what your address is, and I will get these prizes out in the mail to you. Congratulations again to all the winners. All right, so this video also has a giveaway. What you will need to do is make sure that you are a subscriber, like the video, and answer the question down below. There are 5 prizes up for grabs, so you will need to indicate which ones you are interested in winning, 1 through 5, somewhere in your answer, and in my next video, I will announce the winners. Number 1 is for the 2023 planner by Lori Holt, Be in My Bonnet. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 1. Number 2 is the 5-inch square in a square block by It's So Emma. Number 3 is the 6-inch square in a square by It's So Emma. Number 4 is the Marseille quilt pattern. I'm pretty positive I'm butchering that, but if you're interested in this quilt pattern, it is number 4. And number 5 is the Santa Claus Typeface series. So again, if you're interested in any of those, you need to make sure you indicate it down below. And in my next video, I will announce the winners. The question that you will need to answer, and a lot of you guys asked if I would ask this one next, and that is, what is your state or national animal? And Oregon's is the beaver state, so it's a beaver. I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it in my next video. I didn't even look it up. I just assume because on our flag, it's a beaver. We're referred to as the beaver state, so I'm assuming it's the beaver. Have I ever seen a beaver? Once in the wild, and I was on a hike. I think it was when Brian and I were first married or were dating. We went to like Minnow Brown and we were walking, and I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a beaver there. But yeah, only once, unless it was like at the zoo. But they're not something, and I mean, I haven't seen one in a really long time. I've seen otters, but I haven't seen a beaver since it's been a long time. I'm sure they were pretty prevalent because back in the, the pioneer days, the wagon train days, the gold rush days, and even before that, so in the colonial days, you used to have guys that went out and hunted them and trapped them, and they used them for hats and stuff. So, yeah, I'm pretty positive it's the beaver. And if I'm wrong, I'll correct it in my next video. So, thank you so much for playing. If you don't have and because I know a lot of countries, they might not have like a state or a national animal, just, let me know that down below. It'll still enter you to win, and I will ship worldwide. So again, thank you so much for playing, and I'll announce those winners in my next video. Well, my friends, that is all the cross stitching that I have to show and share in today's video. The plan is to be back in 2 weeks, and I will just continue working on my morning stitch, midnight watch, and autumn at Hawkhorn Hollow. Like for a minute there, my brain like short circuited, and I was like, what is it called? There is a good possibility that when it comes back into, when autumn at Hawkhorn Hollow comes back into my rotation, I might just continue working on it until it's done. I haven't quite decided. I think it'll depend on the framing situation. So if I am able to find a frame, and I also have an autumn piece that I know is in, it's put away in my bins. And I'm going to start getting some of that stuff out to change out everything. And so I'm going to pull that out, and I want to make a frame for that one. So if everything works out and I'm able to make those frames and get those projects fully finished, then I think I might just keep going on autumn at Hawkhorn Hollow, because then of course I'll have content to show in my video. So that's kind of the tentative plans on those. But yeah, I'll be back in 2 weeks. But I am going to start talking about quilting. So if that's not something you're interested in seeing, this is a great stopping off point, and I'll see you next time. All right, so let's talk about quilts. The quilt behind me is the Temecula Album Quilt by Temecula Quilt Company, and it is available on her website, so I'll put a link to it down below. This is the last view that you will have of it for a little while. I think in my next video, I'm going to swap the quilts out. So I am planning on hanging up Hocus Pocus Fill, and I always get really excited when it's time to pull that one out because it's one of my favorite quilts. So I did have some questions, quilting questions, in my last video. The first question that I got is, what pattern am I using for my Scrappy Stars quilt, and how do I determine my fabric placement or color? So the pattern that I'm using is, and I do have it here, it was from the Scrappy Star Sew Along in 2018 by Kathleen Tracy, and it is available in her Facebook group. I don't think I can link the group. I'll try. But if I can't, I will put the name of the Facebook group, because I think it's just Kathleen Tracy Quilts. But this is it right here, because the directions are there, so I can't show it all. But that is what I am using. My blocks finish at 6.5 unfinished. So when they are in the quilt, they'll be 6-inch. Sorry, I keep looking up at my phone because it did something really weird where it just kind of stopped recording and it said something went wrong. And so now I'm paranoid that it's going to like kick off and I'm just going to be talking away and not realizing it. So if you just see me kind of pause every once in a while and just kind of give it a funny look, that's why. So, how do I determine my fabric placement and color? So when the blocks go together, you can tell that this one here is a darker one and this one is a lighter. So this is a lighter background, darker background. So I'm basically going light, dark, light, dark. It goes this way, but you'll notice that there is one right here where you have like a dark fabric and a light fabric. So I treated that one as a lighter fabric. I did that kind of not every other one, but just kind of sparsely in the quilt. I didn't want it to be like completely like light dark. So there might be the odd one like that one that just kind of appears and you're like, wait, those are two darks. But then if you look at the star, The star is dark, so the background would be light. How I determine color placement, I basically, what happens is when I'm pulling fabric, the quilt is inside the house, and I go out where I keep my stash and my scraps, and I kind of look through them, and I look through ones where I don't think I've used it before in the quilt, and also like what color do I feel like I need to do this row in. And that's kind of how I'm doing it. Sometimes I get similar colors next to each other. It's totally fine because it's a scrappy quilt. But I don't really think there's a rhyme or reason about it. I just, I'll be going along, assembling a row, and I think, you know what? I need some red and some yellow in this next row. And so that's kind of how I do it. I did get another row done. I was really worried that I was not going to be able to, but I did. And so if I did nothing else for the 2 weeks, that was my number one priority. So I was able to get another one complete, and I have 2 more to go. And I'm really excited. It's getting so close. I made a couple of extra blocks though. I miscounted for whatever reason. So I have this one for the next row and this one. So the row that I did will be the top one, and it is right here. So it's growing, it's getting really big. I know I probably should stand up when I show this, but it is getting quite a bit bigger now. I'm so excited that I just have the 2 rows to go. I can't wait until it's finished. But it's just all scrappy fun. So I love it, love it, love it. It's really easy. I kind of have the what I need, like cut this, and it's just kind of in my brain now, so I don't actually need the directions anymore. But I love working on this. I just go and I'll pull 9, so I'll look to see what there is. So the row that I finished, I needed 5 dark backgrounds, 4 light backgrounds. So I just went out and I pulled, like I like these ones, and I put these together, and I like these ones, and I put these together, and then then I just make them. There's no rhyme or reason. It's a scrappy quilt, so you don't have to be like really precise. I don't lay it out or anything like that when I'm pulling fabric. I just go out, pull what I need, come in, assemble it, and then I will lay the quilt on the table, and then I will put the blocks in the placement that I want them. So 2 more to go. So in my next video, I will have row 8 on, and then in the following video, row 9, and then a completed quilt. So I can't wait. I'm so excited. So last weekend, I got to thinking about, I have a lot of quilts that I want to make, and I have a lot of quilts in progress, but I'm like, what are the 2 quilts that I really need to focus on? One of them was my Scrappy Stars, and the other one is Windy Pickets. So this one I haven't made any blocks for the past couple of weeks. It ended up kind of getting shuffled around, and I just kind of shuffled out. So I definitely want to finish this one. This one probably, even though I saw the quilt in person, and I love how it turns out, and my friend has finished hers, working on this one it's like not my favorite thing. I don't know why, because I know it's going to be amazing when I get it done, but just working on it, there's so many pieces to it, and it just takes forever. It just takes forever. But when I was cutting out the Scrappy Stars, I cut out the blocks for this one, so I got 6 made. So I have 27 altogether, and I have to make 41. So I'm getting close, definitely getting close. I just need to keep at it, because I know when it's done, it's going to be amazing. But just working on it has just been very taxing. So this is the first one. And all of these, if it's not in my Scrappy Stars, these were because I had, small pieces in my scrap bin, and I decided to pull them in and use them. So I love it. I love work. They're beautiful. I really do love, when I got them done, I just love them. They're so cute. But again, making them, for whatever reason, it's probably because they're super tiny. There's a lot of tiny little pieces, a lot of half square triangles. You gotta, square up to 1.5 inches. And so I just need to like get back into it again. I think going on vacation kind of kicked me out of my routine, and it's been kind of a struggle to kind of get back at it again. So in my last video, I showed this book, Hope's Journey by Betsy Chuchian. I talked a little bit about how my friend Retha and I are going to start working on this one. We're going to kind of treat it as a block of the month. And a lot of you guys were very interested in joining along. You are very welcome to join along. It's not like a sew along or anything like that. We just decided to make the quilt because it's amazing and we want one. So what we did is the book is broken up into chapters. There are 13 chapters. 12 of them have the blocks that you make, and then the 13th is block assembly. So we're just kind of treating those chapters as a block of the month. So chapter 1 is month 1, and we'll just make sure somewhere like in the month of September, we're completing the chapter 1 blocks. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about it, you can let me know. But if you do want to join along, please feel free to do so. But we're not running it as like a sew along or anything like that. It's just, we're just following chapters. So chapter 1 is September, chapter 2 is October, chapter 3 November, and so on until the whole thing is done. I know that you do make some filler blocks. I think some of the filler blocks you do at the end, if I remember right. And some of those we might throw in as we go along, just so that there's not like a ton of stuff to do when we get the whole block done. So please feel free to join us if you would like to. I know some of you guys said, well, I show the blocks ahead of time. All you have to do is, go to chapter 1. There's like 2 or 3 blocks you need to make for this month, and then that's it. And then next month it'll be chapter 2. Chapter 2. But again, please feel free to join us. It's not a sew along or anything like that, but I know a lot of you guys were interested in it. The fabrics that I will be using are Adamstown by Joe Morton, and then also stuff in my stash. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I get a notification that my block bonanza has shipped. It'll be here next week. So I probably will start working on those almost as soon as they come, because I do want to stay up on it. I don't want to fall behind. I believe it runs through the end of the year, I think. When I first signed up, there was something about it being 13 months, but then when I read the directions again the other day, it was 12 months. So I'm assuming I'll get my last month in December, but that's going to be a really awesome quilt. I cannot wait. So definitely in my next video, I will have Scrappy Stars to show, Black Bonanza, maybe Windy Pickets, I don't know. But I feel like between like these two, Windy Pickets and Scrappy Stars, those are the ones that I feel like I need to finish, because I have some other ones that I want to start working on. I just have so many plans. I just want to work on everything. It's terrible. Well, my friends, that is all the quilting I have to show and share in today's video. If you've stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. The plan is to continue working on everything I've shown. Also, the plan is to change out the decor that is behind me and start bringing out some of that fall and Halloween stuff, and I'm very excited. I probably won't do that until right before I upload my video. It's still a little bit early. I mean, I'm getting antsy, but I probably will wait and do it sometime, not this coming week, but the week after. So I will have a new backdrop. This time of the year is always very exciting because it's just the house, even though the weather is changing and the days are getting shorter, the house is always like decorated and it's always like festive, and I just really like it. So I'm looking forward to it. The plan as usual is to be back in 2 weeks. If you'd like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I am Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I do have a Facebook page which is called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. I will put a link to those down below, as well as everything that I've discussed in today's video will also be listed down below as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. You can either email me or you can also leave them in the comment section, and I will either answer them directly or I will answer them in the video. So I hope you guys have a great 2 weeks. You get lots of stuff done, and I'll see you guys all again soon. Bye-bye.